So I'm switching on the live stream now. The event doesn't start for another 5 minutes, but we'll just say hi to anybody who has come early.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it goes. Good.
So you ready to go, Robert?
Yep. Okay.
So we are live already. We have a lot of people coming from all over the world. I see people from Iran. We have some people from South Africa, Europe, India, Bangkok. I see Crit from Bangkok. Hey, Crit.
Whatever. So where I have to click to, oops. Oh,
So we'll be starting in like 2 minutes.
oh, wait, let me try to share my screen.
Sure.
I only have a small window now. Why? Ah, okay. I should use this one. Where is the screen sharing? Was it not down here? Oh, Bildschirmfrage. So the host has sharing of the screen.
Yeah, let me give you access in a minute. Yeah, you should have access to stream now.
Okay. So I will take this one.
Yes, that's working.
Wait, no. Then on. Shit.
I think it must have gone to your other screen probably. Or just give it a minute. It'll just be coming on.
Yeah.
Right now I can just see a white screen. Ah, there it is.
So, right.
Yeah.
Oh. No.
Okay, so it's 5 o'clock. Hey, thanks, Brian. Brian
Wait,
is saying I have a nice beard. So I got inspired by you, Brian, and hopefully I'll be able to get to your size. So it's 5. So Robert, I'll officially start the event, and I'm going to be handing it over to you immediately, so that you can start. So hey, thanks everyone for joining. It is a great pleasure to organize this event and celebrate 16 years of Joomla. I think it's been a fantastic 16 years, and it has had a lot of impact on a lot of lives across the world. And today, on the 16th birthday, the launch of Joomla 4 will be one more pretty big milestone that will set the tone for the years to come. So with that, I won't take too much time. I'll hand it over to Robert to start his welcome keynote with why he loves Joomla. So Robert, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. Maybe good news. One good news first is so the release is in the making. So Joomla 4 will be available, I think, in not minutes, but probably within the next 2 hours. So, and I will give you a little bit of my personal opinion on Joomla, and it's why I love Joomla and why you should love it too. So why I love Joomla is first of all, it's about the community. So I like it that we have different people from different cultures, and we can learn about people and what they are doing in their countries and all the stuff. So this is what I really like, and there is more pictures about community. This was the first Joomla World Conference in San Jose, by the way. For me, this community thing also makes this world a little bit smaller. And what I mean by this is we are living in a world where you get the news from TV and all the stuff. And years ago, when I was not so involved in such a global community, when something happened somewhere, it was okay, it happens there, bad or not so bad, whatever. And now it's more when that I'm thinking about who I know in this area, if this people are safe and all the things. So for me, the world is also a little bit smaller than it was before from working in a global community. What I also like is people. So I met really so much nice people from all areas, and I made a lot of new friends, and we had obviously also fun day and night and on events. So this is really the thing that makes working and spending time worse when you meet so much nice people from all over the world and having a good time. And I think life is also a little bit about connections. So when you meet people and when you have when you know them and work together with them, then it's really a good time. So from one or two people, so we come to teams, and I have worked in a lot of teams so far, and leaded also a couple of teams, and this is for me something I learned a lot from. I learned a lot about working in teams. I learned a lot about other people tackling things. I learned also a lot of technical stuff because I worked mostly in development teams. Also started with automated testing and all this stuff as to at least as at the end now being still the team lead of the CMS maintenance team. And so this is also something what is good for everyone. So if you work in a team, and especially when you work in an international team with people from other countries, your view on things get wider, and you probably get a lot for your own working and how you can manage things in the future. So this is something that I had really liked with working in teams. And yeah, as I said, I was in a couple of teams and had a couple of wins, and so but working in a team for a common goal is really something that is really great and makes a lot of fun, and so we are at fun. So it is not only working and doing things, and it's also for me it's also a lot of fun spending time with people, being somewhere outside, having a beer, or probably have more than one. And by the way, you see one of your chef bosses there. So it's great to have some fun being with people and working this way. For me, this was, I say, most of the time, it's not always fun, but most of the time it's really good spending time. And it's the same here. So it's a combination of learning other people, learning other experiences, having fun together, working together for a common goal, achieving something, and at some point you are proud of what you are doing. And if you look at Joomla 4 at the moment, what we are releasing in just a few minutes, whatever. It was really a long journey. It was a lot of years working on this, and now we have a lot of people done something for this goal, and now we can be proud of that we really have done it and finally can deliver it to the community, and having a new tool for people, and can to allow all people making great websites. So good. I tried, so that's the last fun picture. And I would try to turn it a little bit around. So what about you? So you are here in this session, meeting, however you would tell it. And so I think you have some interest in Joomla and what you can do more, and what can you do in the future. So this is at least a good question. And so I will want to give you my advice about this. So first of all, I think local communities are really a good start. So if you have a local community, if you have a Joomla user group nearby. Go to this user group, speak with people, meet people. If you don't have a Joomla user group, just make one. So you're free to do so. Nobody really needs some allowance from somewhere to make a Joomla user group. What you can do also is you can also join a team. So we have a lot of teams in Joomla, split it in departments. I will not go this way and speak too much about this, but there are teams about development, there are teams about marketing, a lot of teams where you can join and do something. Probably if you are a developer, go to a team that it's not developer related, to do something different and to get a brighter view on, or get a better view on Joomla or what's happening and what's needed to make such a community successful and grow. Next thing you can do for sure, and this is my advice, go to an event. If it is the Joomla Day in your country, or if it's a Joomla Day or World Conference or J and Beyond somewhere else. I know it costs money. Yeah, that's true. But some people combine it with a small holiday, and essentially it's going to some of these events and learning other people and learning how other people think is really an investment in your future. You can learn about Joomla there, but you can learn also about other people and all this stuff what is related to Joomla. So and finally, have fun. So so working on Joomla, working with Joomla, this should make fun. If it not makes fun, I'm just can say do something else. Just do what's make you think it's best is best spending your time. But I'm pretty sure that Joomla and working with Joomla and in some teams and with other people will make fun. So for me, the last, I don't know, 15, 16, 17 years, I'm involved in this community. I think I had fun. And this is really, really important. And I hope to see many of you somewhere in the team or in the meeting or at an event. Unfortunately, I cannot see you now, so I don't know who's all there downside of a virtual meeting. But I hope this will happen, and even if I don't know exactly, I still hope so. So thanks a lot. If you want to follow me a little bit, follow me on Twitter or whatever. And yeah, thanks for listening.
Thank you so much, Robert. That was Robert, the president of OSM, talking about why he loves Joomla. And thank you so much, Robert, for the fantastic session. So if there are any questions, you can post them on the YouTube chat and we will get them to the speakers. Up next, we have Patrick talking about unboxing Joomla 4. He's right after you, Robert. Feel free to stick around in the Zoom link, and you can also quiz Patrick maybe on what's happening in Joomla 4. Patrick, we're ready for you. Over to you.
G'day everybody. Just checking my video's the right way around for my video looks correct to everybody, does it?
Yeah, you're looking fantastic.
That's right. I've had occasions where my background's been mirrored incorrectly, so it looks quite naff there. So yeah. Welcome to the second event that I've spent time with Robert on today. We had the Joomla Australia user group meeting a few hours ago, which was hopefully going to be the timing of the launch. I've got various people on the production team pinging me at the moment with various updates to say when things are ready to look at. Yeah, it's an exciting day and one of those times that we've really got to get enthusiastic about Joomla again. So to introduce myself, I'm Patrick Jackson. I'm with Joomla Australia and currently I'm the Joomla volunteer engagement team leader for Joomla. So many of you may have in the past, particularly if you were interested in the GSOC or the Summer of Open Source programs, which you'll hear about more later today on, you might have been in a session that we ran earlier this year with information on how to get involved in the Joomla project. We'll be running more of those types of programs into next year. Shivam will probably cover more of that soon. So I've been using Joomla since 2005 when Joomla first started. My day job now is that I host about 100 websites, including 70 Joomla websites that I maintain and about another 20 that I regularly maintain that are WordPress sites. And I honestly prefer Joomla so much more. Most of the headache sites that I have tend to fall into the WordPress category. But the way that Joomla clicked with me 15, 16 years ago was fantastic. And that's sort of the model that I've stuck with. It made sense and it worked really well. And Joomla 4 has now gone on to continue that tradition. We actually had one of the Australian users today. He felt like reminiscing, so he went back and he actually managed to install a copy of Joomla 1.0 to see if it would still work. He had to downgrade several settings on his server, but he eventually got it working and said that, you know, it's very interesting to see how much of the core from 16 years ago has continued to stay around in Joomla and move into Joomla 4 now. So if you haven't had a look at Joomla 4 yet, the best place to start is the landing page that has been put together, joomla.org/4. And on that page, you'll find lots of information about all of the parts of Joomla 4 and things that you can use it for. So I'm going to run through a few of those to start off with. And then later today, this will be fully live and have links to the system. So one of the things I particularly want to point out here is even earlier tonight, we actually, during the Joomla Australia presentation, we were able to upload the language packs for English Australia and English US at 100% translation. And as part of that, I've become a proofreader for those two languages and learned how to upload them to the Joomla translation and language pack system. So what I'd encourage all of you to do if you're looking to get involved with Joomla is take a look at this week's Joomla Community Magazine, which came out today to coincide with the release and Joomla's birthday. So it's a little bit earlier than normal. And there's an article on Joomla's Lionheart in there. And Lion is L10N in that regard, which is short for localization. So we need a lot of help to get Joomla translated so that we can get up from the 24 language packs that are ready today for Joomla 4 up to having all 80 that were previously available for Joomla 3 at 100% translation and ready to go. So I know that I've been speaking to a couple of GSOC students and some of open source students that have been interested in getting involved in the project. And they've been starting to do some work on the Hindi language packs. But there's, I think all up, there's 8 language packs for India in amongst that 80 worldwide. And so if you are interested in finding out more about that, the article this month covers all of the information on how to get started, just doing the translations. And then we'll be following that up with more information on becoming a proofreader later on. So I've been testing Joomla and documenting Joomla, translating Joomla for the last 15 months while Australia's been in and out of lockdown, like every other part of the world at some stage. Unfortunately for me, we're back in lockdown in Melbourne, Australia, where I am. So that puts me back in front of the computer for a few more weeks to get on top of some other Joomla related issues. So if you haven't opened up Joomla 4 yet, one of the selling points is that it's nice and fast to install. Brian will probably run through a couple of these as well in the next session. The questions that it asks you in the installation process got consolidated down a little bit, so that's a bit simpler. And then the flexibility stays there from Joomla 3 to Joomla 4 in the amount of extensions that are available. Out of the gates today, don't be surprised if you're considering jumping or upgrading from Joomla 3 to Joomla 4, that you can't do that from day one. So effectively, the first stable version is really another release candidate that's actually then not going to change a lot over the future, but there'll be still some bugs. But a bigger issue is that there's not every extension yet has been, there's a lot that haven't been upgraded from 3 to be Joomla 4 compatible yet. And the other main thing you'll find is that a lot of templates aren't redeveloped yet in the new template format for Joomla 4. So my advice, which is another article this month in Joomla magazine, is to take your time and plan your migration, be patient and wait for all of the things that you need to be put in place, so that then when they are all in place, your migration should be very smooth. One of the main things that's been developed for Joomla 3 going to Joomla 4 is the pre-update checks and the migration program. So rather than the way it was with Joomla 2.5 to 3, where there was a lot of feedback that it wasn't as smooth sailing, at the moment, if you've got all of your extensions and your template planned out properly, the test migrations that I've done on simpler sites have been working very well and transform your site into Joomla 4 quite easily. As you get more complexity, there's more work to be done in the planning phases, and then you need to get on top of that. So obviously, one of the strengths of Joomla is that it is open source, which means that not only can you invest in developing sites in Joomla at a lower cost because the core of the software is available for free, it also means that things can be fixed faster, as well as things can be contributed to the project to improve the project by anybody that's involved and interested. And I'm excited to stay around after my presentation to join on when Shivam's introducing the Summer of Code projects. I'm a mentor for one of them, or a background mentor for one of them. I've been watching a few of the projects as they developed over the last couple of months. Most of those will be integrated into Joomla 4.1, and some of them are very exciting as to the next level of functionality they will bring. And that's going to continue into the Joomla lifecycle. The other great thing I love about Joomla is the fact that you can, if you want to fix something, you're not stuck like you are with a software as a service type platform where it's hosted and you can't change anything. Today, I was able to log in to one of my websites and make 2 template overrides, one for the administration area and one for the front end of the site. And both of those then change the entire base functionality of that component to do what I wanted to do, which I probably couldn't do as easily with any other system. So one of the reasons I love Joomla. Joomla 4 has a number of SEO improvements, and that's not just in regards to search engine metadata. It's also in regards to optimizing the performance of the website. Out of the box, Joomla 4 will score close to 100 on Google Lighthouse as a blank build. And if you build your content correctly and go forward correctly, you will end up with a Joomla 4 website scoring higher with Google Lighthouse out of the box than I've seen any other piece of web software do without installing any additional plugins. Once you get to a point where you've got your site populated, then obviously there's going to be caching and optimization things that you can turn on that'll then increase the power of the optimization of the site, connecting it to CDNs and things like that. Should mean that anywhere in the world you should be able to score a high Lighthouse score without needing to do too much to the website out of the gates. Security's been always a factor with making sure Joomla works, making sure any website works. I've always found that Joomla has been far more secure than other systems, whether that's because it's attackless or whether because it's actually stronger security. I think it's a mix of both. But with Joomla 4, several other new security features have been added in. The main one that most people will come across is content security policies. There's a couple of articles in Joomla magazine that cover what's happened with that and how that's configured. And there's a new component that manages all of that. So you can actually now tell in the Joomla control panel, you can now go through and say what parts of the site are able to give you permission to authorize certain types of content and activity to happen without too much of an issue. So that's quite a detailed thing to set up. Like the out of the box works very well, but to actually refine it to fine tune it takes a bit of effort and a bit of information. And I know that we're looking at running more sessions on that set up through user groups around the world over the coming months. Multilingual content. Joomla's famous, well, I don't know if it's famous for it, but one of the biggest features of Joomla is the fact that it's got a multilingual content system built into it as a core feature. So not only can you go and install multiple language packs into Joomla out of, as soon as you install Joomla, you can also then have multiple languages on the one site and then have the ability to switch through different sites. And the Joomla 4 landing page is actually built in Joomla 4. And you can see there that it's got a switch there that will switch things into other languages. And all of these pieces of content have been translated into different languages as part of the process. So the English Australian and English US language packs only got added earlier tonight. So that's the first time I've actually clicked on the US one. So actually, no, I'll go back. My Italian is not good. So we would be thrilled to be able to add other language packs in for Hindi and other Indian dialects. It's just a case of having people to go and put the information in and get it all up to speed. So if you're interested in doing that, I'll give you my details at the end of the chat and we'll go from there. So then growing system. So between Joomla being open source and extension developers building their Joomla extensions for Joomla 4 and templates coming out for Joomla 4, the overall ecosystem for Joomla is looking fantastic as we go into Joomla 4. There's several new plugin categories and several new components in Joomla 4, like workflow, which will mean that you can actually have layers of functionality added in that do particular things. So with the workflow plugins as an example, workflow will let you have stages where you can transition articles from one to another stage, and it'll then trigger whether things like whether they get published or featured, whether they go backwards or forwards for editorial purposes to different users and trigger notifications. But some of the plugins that could be developed for that might be that once you've finally got to the point of publishing your article, a plugin can then be set up to use the Joomla Web Services API that's also being introduced to then send the details of that new article across to your social media and automatically publish it for you as part of the workflow. So there's plenty of features now that will give automation and things like that. Alexander, who's talking, I think, last in today's session, I believe is covering Web Services API for Joomla. And what that effectively is going to do is create a range of things that you can do with Joomla that might control Internet of Things devices. You can hook them into Zapier, if this then that, or Integromat to make automated processes. And you can have it so that you might have other websites that you manage that you want to use the content from that website on your Joomla 4 website. And so you can set up a web services API hook to have that information transfer from one screen to another. So if you take a look through more on the Joomla 4 landing page, all of the different Joomla 4 hashtags that are being used will have their individual sections, and they'll take you through to documentation on the different features. One of the other ones there, Joomla 4 now has taken what was Com Search, the original Joomla search, out as a core component, so you need to reinstall that. And then the Com Finder, which is the smart search in Joomla, has been dramatically improved, and so you'll be able to find out more about that one. The new email template functionality in Joomla means that rather than just having a set of basic template, basic text-based emails, you could now go in and set up all of your system emails so that they were formatted with logos and HTML and gave a more professional appearance there. I mentioned workflows a little earlier, where that's now going to be a major game changer for use of sites on enterprise level solutions, because what you'll be able to do, amongst the things I said earlier, you can now set up individual user groups for parts of the workflow chain. And so it might be that anybody in your organization can write an article, and then when they contribute that article to a particular category, it'll be sent to the category editors. The category editors can then say it's ready to be published. It goes to the content management team. They finish off what they need to do, and then the publications manager can then set it so that it's then scheduled for publication and all the other things that need to be done. I touched on Joomla for Speed, where the Joomla is really performing well on Google Lighthouse. A lot of the speed improvements are under the hood, so you need to sort of dive in deeper to find out what they are. One of the big ones was a concerted effort to move all of the code that is what's classed as render blocking JavaScript, move that so that it forcibly loads it in a lazy load fashion later in the loading of the page, and that created a significant speed improvement. there's been a big concentration on accessibility, which I'm hoping Brian's going to touch on more. He's had a lot to do with drilling down into all of that. And then I mentioned security earlier. And then, of course, translate. So what I might do is give you a quick tour of translating. So if you want to help translate Joomla 4, you can just go to the landing page and then click on the button at the bottom there. And that'll open up the Joomla crowd-in for the CMS. And that's jumped straight to the core language files. When you come back out a level, Joomla has 5 main projects. You've got the core language files, official extensions, the Joomla websites. So this is where the Joomla 4 landing page is included in this one. The overall Joomla website template, and then other marketing resources for Joomla. But I'll quickly show you here. You can see the different percentages that all of the language packs are. So if you're watching and you happen to be from one of the language areas that are shown, all you need to do to get started translating is create an account on Joomla's crowd-in, and then you can click through and get started. So let's go down to, so you can see here that Hindi is currently 14% approved, 25% translated. And that probably means that there's a need for some proofreaders. So I'll come back to that later. You then would click on translate. And then that'll load all of the strings that need to be translated. And then effectively you just type in what you need to. You can copy the string down. So in this particular example, you would only need to translate user, completed, and request, and for. All of the rest of those fields are parameters that get passed in from the programming. So you then would click save, and then it would go and start translating. So, so if I go, so you can see here that the various strings have already been translated there, and they will be ready to go. And that's all you need to do. Click save and then move on to the next string. And many potentially hours later, I know that even English Australia and English US is effectively copying and pasting every string from British English, making very subtle changes along the way. It's almost like I was proofreading English GB, but that still took hours. There's, I think, if I go to here, there are close to, so here when I hover, more. So 67,355 words that make up the core Joomla language pack. And those 67,355 words need to be translated 88 times to get to the point where we have all of the language packs done. So I encourage anybody watching to jump on to crowd-in, and if we ended up with 100 people for each language, then you've only got to translate 1%, and so it's 670 words, and you would be we would be at 100% very, very quickly. If you have more questions on that, or any questions on getting involved in Joomla at all, the best way to get in touch with me and the volunteer engagement team is to email contact-vet@community.joomla.org, and that will come straight through to us, and we can answer your questions, introduce you to other teams to get involved with in the Joomla sphere, and hopefully get lots more contributors back into the project. So,
Patrick, if I may interrupt, there is one question that has come that is related. I've just put it on the chat.
Yeah.
So it is from Moshtapa Tahiri. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah.
So he's saying, please talk about RTL languages. Why is there no demo for it? Could you just give some clarity on that?
Yep. So here's a website. This is my first live Joomla 4 website. So technically it's in production. I probably shouldn't play with it during the demo. During development, there was, for a while, the only languages that were available was English GB, which was the default language, French, which had been set up so that it was a second language, and then Persian was set up as a test for the RTL languages. So there is a demo for RTL, but it's Persian. All of the other language packs need to be finished in order to get to the point where they're done. So what I'll do here is I'll log back in and I'll just go to languages and Arabic unitag is, I believe, the RTL. And so now if I go to system and languages, we can now make that the default. And this will be very interesting. Actually, no, I'll do it on the back end because then. And so now you can see there that the entire site has been flipped around and is right to left. Now, I won't go into that too much. My Farsi is not spectacular. And I will get lost very quickly because I'm still working out where we need to go there. Work that out. So I'm not familiar with which other languages are right to left. One of the disadvantages of being in Australia is that we're a very monocultural language base. So you're sitting for the Joomla certification exam a couple of years ago. Pretty much everyone that sat the exam needed to go away and cram the night before on all of the stuff to do with multilingual, because none of us had actually built a multilingual site before. So I invite anybody watching to jump on Crowd-In, finish the translation of the language packs that are right to left that you need for your region. We'll get those in so that they can be installed, and then people can install those directly into the site. And then I also invite someone that is very interested in RTL to write some Joomla articles for the magazine to say what we can do there. So, yeah. Right. So if there's other questions, yeah, Parth can just drop them into the chat, which I'll see while we're going.
Yes, I will drop them into the chat. So no more questions yet. So you can go on. I'll just interrupt you in case there are any.
Yep. Right. So there's an article, we keep on referring back to Joomla magazine. We've done a lot of work in the last 15 months to put lots of articles out that cover a large number of features of Joomla 4. So it's really worth going back and looking through those previous issues. Again, if you're interested in translating Joomla magazine articles into other languages, we would love that. That would reach more people. The dashboard has changed considerably if you've used Joomla in the past, and there's an article on that in this month's article. I'm going to go back only because it's a live site. Languages install as packages. So when you search for a language, you'll see the parts of the language files. But to actually uninstall them, you need to uninstall the package, and that will remove the language pack for that language. Right. So I guess, yeah, I'm happy to open up to questions for a few minutes, even from the other presenters that are here to talk about different things. I see Brian's waiting to follow me. I thought I was following Brian, which generally makes it easier for me, but considering he introduced me as basically someone the size of Hagrid from Harry Potter, the last time I saw Brian online. It's always good to catch up with Joomla luminaries around the world from time to time. And interestingly, that's happened more often for us in lockdowns and in the last 12 months than from Australia, that we've been able to get to the other side of the world to get involved. So yeah, it's been an interesting year. So, cool. All right. Well, I think if there's no more questions, if you do have more that you want to find out about getting involved in Joomla, email contact-vet@community.joomla.org, and I look forward to hearing more from people that want to get involved in translations, and then we'll move on to documentation another time. Later in the year, we'll be putting out more information about this year's Pizza Bugs and Fun event, which we're starting to plan at the moment. So that will probably have a big concentration on documentation and translation to get those up to speed now that Joomla 4 is stable. Thanks for your time. So I believe the next path we're going to cut to a physical cake cutting somewhere.
Yeah, that's the plan. So no more questions yet, but I would like you, Patrick, Brian, as well as Robert to just switch on your videos, and we will just take a 5-minute break, and we'll just do a physical cake cutting here while you guys join in and help cut it virtually. And I've just seen that the Joomla tweets have gone out. So Joomla 4 is out, and it is up and available for download now. So you guys can go and download it and start trying it out right away. So that's just gone out sometime back. So let's take a 5-minute break, and then we'll get together for the virtual celebration before we start brand's session in 10 minutes. So just for everybody who's live, we are doing the virtual cake cutting session in 5 minutes. That should be a short one, and then we'll start with brand session. Thanks everyone. And Robert, Brian, Patrick, thank you so much for being here for us. And I would request you to be available in 5 minutes with your videos on, so that you can join the virtual and physical cake cutting session. So I'm just going to switch to mobile camera so that I can stream the live session. So we're just about ready with the setup here. We'll just start the live video in a minute. So hi everyone, I hope you can hear us. We are now presenting. I'm just going to, Sue, can you just spotlight this? So we have a pretty nice cake. And you're all here at this launch of Joomla 4 and Joomla 6. The team to start cutting the cake. And Brian, Patrick, Joe, if all of you guys can also help us cut the cake virtually, that will be awesome. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Awesome. Thank you so much. You can all start eating the cake and we'll send virtual cake to everybody who's joined remotely.